Well, that was certainly a game of two halves, wasn't it? Huge 3 points for United there at the end. Looked like they weren't going to get anything out of the game after a terrible first half performance, but fair play to them. They came out in the second half and played a lot better. We're going to get into the game in a second, but first of all, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, all that lovely stuff. It's the Gooner Tokes. Welcome to the show, people. That first half of football from United was one of the worst halves of football I've seen in ages. They didn't deserve anything out of that. I mean, I was taking notes while watching the game. I had to start turning pages to write notes of all the things they'd done wrong. Honestly, there was no plan in attack. There was no plan in defense. Nobody knew where they had to be. Nobody was prepared for Crystal Palace at all. Simple 2-meter sideway passes were cutting out their whole team and getting Palace on the counter-attack, and United really had no answer for it in that first half, and they were panicking, to be honest, whenever Palace went at them, and it was wave after wave of Palace attack, and that's what led to the first goal. And Euro panicked, dove in, definite penalty, and then Mateta has to step up and take the pen, and not just once, but twice he had to take that pen. He hits it first time he takes the pen, he accidentally touches it twice, and to be honest, I'm glad that rule is what it is. I don't think you should lose the chance for your penalty just because of a mistake like that, so I'm glad that you have to retake it, and at the end of the day, it's more pressure taking a second penalty, so, you know, fair enough, and Mateta puts it away, great goal, and you think that United would wake up, you'd think they would wake up, but no! Palace continued going at him. In the end, Sarr had to come off and he was replaced by Eddie Nketiah, who had an incredible chance to get Palace 2-0 up, and he absolutely messes it up. And that is why, you know, it's things like that, why Eddie Nketiah didn't make it at Arsenal and why he's not starting at Palace. He needs to be more clinical. He needs to be more lethal when he's in those positions, because Palace could have been 2-0 up and it would have been a long day at the office for United after that. So they were lucky to go in at the break still only 1-0 down, because make no mistake, they were by far and away second best in that first half. Like I said, so many notes. It's constantly out of position, naive defending, and just not up for it in that first half. That's the thing. That's maybe one of the worst things. United were not up for it. Palace were faster than them. They were harder than them. They were working overall harder as a team. And you can't be going to Palace and not putting in a shift, because Palace will do that to you. And so that first half from United was unacceptable. And at halftime, people were rightly, you know, questioning AMORIM because he's under a lot of pressure. He needs to, at least if, you know, there's ways to lose a game. And that certainly was not one of them. Like I said, lucky to only be 1-0 down at half time. And yeah, it was just crazy performance to me from United in that first half. Shocking stuff. But, you know, second half came. And to be fair to United, they came out with much more impetus. AMORIM obviously had got into them in that half-time. I mean, they couldn't have played any worse, to be fair. That was, like I said, a shocking first half. So they're always going to come out a little bit better. And it was about trying to get themselves back into the game in some way. And they started to actually, you know, be closer together in their positioning. They started being able to attack further forward and be able to put Palace under a little bit of pressure, and that's how their goal came from Xerxes, of all people, who had his touches in the first half. I think one ball came to him and it hits the back of his heel. So Xerxes getting a goal was not on my bingo card for that second half, and it was a tight angle as well. So really great goal for him to score and gave United a lifeline in that game. One that they really needed, and fair play to them. They managed to use that lifeline as a springboard for the rest of the game. They started competing better. Fernandes was playing a bit further up forward, having more impact on the game, and that really helped United to have some sustained pressure up front. But, you know, they're still, even when they're playing well, they're still susceptible to counterattacks. They're still going to give the ball away. They don't have that total control that you're going to need to string a lot of victories together in the Premier League, or to dominate games, or to keep the opposition under pressure constantly, basically. It's very sporadic with United in general. And Fair play to them. They managed to get a winning goal. Mason Mount, great free kick. The wall didn't do its job. It shouldn't have jumped. I mean, you can't... It's a poor one to concede from that respect, but great finish from Mason Mount. Take nothing away from him. Keeper couldn't really do a lot with it. Once your wall jumps like that and you're quite unsighted, there's not a lot you can do. And 2-1 up, United were, and in a great position, and in a position you didn't think was possible after that first half. So fair play to them. They really, really needed it. They really needed something out of that game. And they really needed a huge second half performance, because that first half performance was just unacceptable. I would be furious if my team played like that. They looked like they were strangers on the pitch. They take off Lenny Yoro, and that made a difference in the way United played. Mazraoui comes on for him. Yoro didn't really have a good game. He's a young defender and he's still got a lot to learn. And, you know, that United team is not a stable team. And that is contagious. You know, if one person's nervous, the next person's going to be nervous. And Yoro's so young, he's not the player that's supposed to, you know, get everybody working together well as a team. That's down to your more senior players that are on the pitch to do that. And so fair play to United that they came out of that game with a win, because at halftime it didn't look like it was possible at all. It looked at the end that like Fernandes did his hamstring a little bit. I don't know whether that's going to be a long-term injury or not. He was holding it, but it was right at the end of the game, so we didn't really have time to see how that developed. They kept him on until the end of the game, and if he's out for any extended period of time, I think that's going to affect United a lot. He's the guy that creates a lot of chances for them. At the end of the day, no matter what you think about Fernandes, he is a clinical player in terms of the chances he creates. He's top chance creator in Europe season after season. So he might be a big miss if he is missing for a while. Is this something to build on, though, for United? That's the question. So many false dawns after that first half, to come back in the second half like that and get the win, which, like I said, looked really unlikely, quite impossible. You know, that's a really, really good result for United in the end, and something they can maybe use as an impetus. But that's the thing with United. You never know which United you're going to get. The first half one or the second half one. And even the second half one, you know, can be beaten. So you better not be getting the first half one regularly, because that is just not sustainable. Amorim got out of jail there. That Mason Mount free kick, really great. 2-1 up. At the end of the day, Palace weren't able to get a goal. There were a few chances, a few opportunities on the break, but United started defending better, at least in terms of will and desire to actually defend, because that's what was missing from the first half. And I think that's the thing, that no matter who your team is, the one thing you expect from your team is full commitment from the minute the first whistle blows. So a lot to work on for United in terms of getting a 90-minute performance out of these guys. Huge 3 points in the end, gets them out of trouble for a little bit. Pressure is off Amorim. There's another manager under pressure. Their game is starting soon. Liverpool, Arne Slot. They really need to get the win today, so let's see what happens with that. And of course, it's the big one later. Chelsea, Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. I got my watch along later. Make sure you've got notifications on. Make sure you're subscribing for that, because, you know, subscribe, get the notifications on. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, people. I'll see you later on for the game. United, whew, really got out of jail with that one. Amorim was under pressure. Hey, have a great day, people. Enjoy the next games. Peace. See you later. Bye.